Welcome to Baba Yaga, an original screenplay written by Helen Niemer Hansen. Over the next 5 podcasts, you will hear the truth within the folktale. Baba Yaga. Enjoy.
Baba Yaga, Podcast 1. Village, night. A large iron bell tolls loudly in the village center. V, screaming in terror, is dragged into the village by monks in black hooded robes. Her hands are tied. A filthy burlap bag covers her face. The villagers are gathered around as more monks stack logs around a large wooden post.
Burn the witch! Kill her!
Burn the witch!
Burn her! Burn the witch!
One of the villagers rips off the burlap bag, revealing V's face. Some of the villagers gasp in shock.
She put a spell on me and made me her slave!
She cursed my husband. That's why he ran off.
Poison it was! Poison killed my unborn baby. Now I am barren. It was her poison. She poisoned my baby. She's a witch!
She put a hex on my crops. How can we survive without corn? We will all starve because of her.
Burn her! Burn the witch!
Burn her!
Kill the witch!
A tall robed figure with bluish-black hair stands with his back to the crowd. He raises his hand. The crowd falls silent. V's pleas are silenced as one of the monks jams a rag into her mouth. She is tied to the post. Logs are pushed close to her feet. Tears stream down her cheeks. Desperately searching the faces of the crowd, she sees her mother, holding a small cloth doll at the edge of the village. Behind her mother stand many women dressed in black. As if looking in a mirror, all the women are gagged. Tears roll down their cheeks. V blinks. Her mother and the women disappear. Burning torches are raised in a circle around her. Forest, day.
No! No, please help me!
V, 18 winters, beautiful, fair-skinned with flaming red hair, jumps up screaming.
No!
She looks around wildly. The forest is quiet. No one is near.
The doll! Where did I put the doll?
She quickly grabs her shawl and apron, gathers up small bundles of herbs laid out nearby, and hurries off. Village, same day. High on a cliff, an Alpine-style village is perched at the edge of a wild, dense, and foreboding-looking forest. A stone cloister, large iron bell, and a pillory are in the village center. Thatched-roofed cottages, a blacksmith shop, and a town tavern are haphazardly placed a ways from the cloister. A graveyard stands as a barrier to the edge of the cliff. As V weaves through villagers, heading to join a gathering crowd, she quickens her step. Familiar faces from the dream pass her by.
V,
Giving V a hug.
I haven't seen you in so long. I never got to tell you how sorry I was to hear of your mother's passing. How are you doing, child?
I'm all right, I guess. I miss her so much.
Of course you do. You two were so close. You were the apple of her eye. And your father? I haven't seen him in so many winters.
Yes, I don't know where he is. I'm sorry, but I have to get home.
The old woman grabs her and holds her close,
Stay away, dear one.
whispering in V's ear.
It is no longer safe.
V yanks away from the old woman. Playman, 18 winters, slams into her. He grabs her, pushing his body into hers. V opens her mouth to scream. Playman puts his hand over her mouth. A few of the villagers push between them, sweeping V closer to the pillory. She bolts away from Playman and the crowd. A tall man with thick bluish-black hair and beard stands on a platform near the pillory. He holds a young boy, Domitius, 10 winters, by the scruff of his neck. V quickens her pace. The man pauses for a moment and looks in her direction. V glances back at him, then darts out of sight. Inside V's home, same day. Vilja, 36 winters, short and stocky with dull brown hair, picks up a switch from beside the hearth and paces the floor. Her 2 plump and unattractive daughters, Bertie and Alex, sit on the floor nearby.
That foolish and ridiculous Rolf should have secured husbands for you both by now. They all want to see V. Ugh, that useless child is as worthless as her father. I can't even remember the last time he was here. Not that it would matter. Let this be a lesson, dear ones. Never trust a good-looking man. He'll take your money and leave faster than you can say I do.
Well, we don't have any money.
Well, if we had, it would be long gone.
I hate her. With her long, shiny hair and pale skin. I'll never get the attention I deserve with her around. Her father left her. Why shouldn't we?
Yes. Good point. You know, I finally got one of the old hags from the village to talk to me, and she told me about a witch named Baba.
Yes.
Yes!
We heard all about her.
The fierce
And terrible
Baba Yaga.
This old hag told me that Baba Yaga will give fire to anyone who asks. Not that anyone has ever lived to say so, but V might not know that. Alex, put the fire out. Get rid of those sticks and twigs. I may get you both husbands sooner than you think.
As soon as the fire's out and the hearth cleared, V enters.
There you are, finally. Where have you been? Dreaming in the forest again?
Grabbing V's hair, she hits her backside with the switch. V winces.
It's freezing in here. The fire has gone out and I cannot get it started. There's no firewood. It's your job to find firewood.
I stalked the hearth this morning.
Do you see any firewood? Why didn't you bring wood for the fire, V?
I did. I brought enough.
Bertie and Alex exchange a wink.
Are we gonna die, Mother? I'm so frightened.
Help us, V, please. You can save us. The old women from the village say the Baba Yaga will give fire to anyone who asks. Please go, V.
Yes, V, you are the only one. I am too old, and your dear stepsisters are too frightened. Bertie, give V her mother's cloak to keep her safe and warm. Hurry!
As Bertie throws V her mother's old cloak, a small cloth doll falls out of the pocket, the doll from the dream. V quickly grabs the doll and stuffs it in her apron pocket. She hesitates as she looks from Bertie to Alex.
Hurry, V. We cannot survive in the cold darkness.
She buttons her mother's coat tightly around her as Vilja shoves her out the door. When V has disappeared into the night, the 3 clap their hands, squeak, and laugh together. Vilja tries to relight the few sticks in the hearth, but they will not light. The 3 stop laughing. Forest. Same day. As V enters the forest, the doll starts jumping up and down. V takes the doll out of her pocket, talking to it as she walks.
We must make our way into the forest and find the Baba Yaga. The fierce and horrible Baba Yaga.
V hugs the doll close as she walks deeper into the forest. The wind swirls around her. V does not notice as tree branches lift ever so slightly for her to pass.
Yes, I am glad you are here with me. I don't feel so alone. I am sorry I forgot about you. Mother told me to keep you with me. How I wish you were here. And why would Father leave me with such a horrible stepmother? Where can he be? But we must have fire so he can find his way home. We must.
Preben, the huntsman in black attire on a black steed, can be seen up ahead of her. His face is turned away from V, but she is close enough to see he has no hands. Beyond Preben, a path is illuminated. V nervously pats the doll. After a moment of hesitation, she heads in the direction of the light. Preben rides off.
Am I imagining things? Did you see that?
As darkness descends, ghostly shapes fly across her path. V pushes on through the thicket. A moment later, Borvin, the huntsman in white attire on a white steed, appears ahead of her. Like Preben, Borvin has no hands. Again a path is illuminated. Again branches lift slightly. V pulls her cloak tightly around her and follows the light.
This way? I mean, Maybe this is the way... Oh, wait. I think I see something.
Up ahead, in a clearing, V can see a hut on chicken legs. The fence around the hut is made of bones. The fence posts are skulls glowing with fire. The gate on the fence has fingers for locks and hinges. The locks are jawbones set with sharp iron teeth. V stops in her tracks and stares. Egil, 60 winters. The huntsman in red attire comes riding up to her. He stops for a moment. His chestnut steed rears up on its hind legs. V can see that Egil has hands.
What is your name, and how is it that you've wandered so far off the path?
Holding the doll tightly.
My name is V. I am daughter of Vasalisa the Wise and Rolf the Brave. I am an orphan now. I have come seeking the great Baba Yaga.
Egil studies V for a moment. He turns away from the hut, and another path is illuminated. V turns toward the entrance to the hut. Egil's steed lets out a long and terrifying whinny. Startled, V steps back, clutching the doll to her heart. To the doll.
Do you remember Mother's voice? When she spoke about trees? Something about trees and light. But I wasn't paying attention. Why was I never paying attention?
Slowly, V moves past the hut to follow Egil. Unlike the other huntsmen, Egil stays ahead of her. With each step, streaks of moonlight light her way. The ghostly shapes dissolve into mist. After a short while, Egil's steed rears up again and lets out a deep and guttural welcoming sound. A dirt path leads up a steep hillside. V tucks the doll into her pocket and begins to climb. Egil rides off. Inside Baba Yaga's cave, night. V reaches the plateau. She sees an entrance to a cave. Cautiously and quietly, V moves into the cave. The walls of the cave are lit with torches. Large, heavy metal pipes line the cavernous walls. Bookshelves made with gears and pulleys are loaded with old books and jars. Blood-dripping animal pelts hang above her head. The kitchen has a large oven and stovetop. A long log table is in front of the oven. Knives of various sizes hang suspended in the air. Jars of herbs and powders float near the knives. Chains with cuffs hang from the ceiling of the cave. A large steampunk-style cage, large enough for a child, is tipped over on the floor. A bloody rag is tied around the lock. A fierce wind blows into the cave, and all but one torch goes out. That one lit torch shines directly on V. She crouches down behind the table. Baba Yaga, 58 winters, enters the cave in a cauldron. Standing tall, she is rail-thin with fiery blue eyes and jet-black hair. Her grin reveals sharp metal teeth, and the air around her warps with a fierce energy. Her long wooden spoon and silver birch broom fly to their place near the entrance of the cave. She sniffs the air as she drags a heavy burlap bag to the kitchen. V quietly crawls to the front of the table. Baba Yaga snaps her fingers, and all the torches relight. She throws the entire burlap bag into the oven and slams the oven door.
Do come out, child. It's so very unusual to have someone come into my home. Egil tells me you are here for a reason. And since Egil is incapable of bringing anyone who can cause me harm, it must be so. Come, come, child. I could smell you before I entered the cave.
2 torches fly to either side of V. Slowly, V stands, shaking.
My name is V, and I have come for fire.
Fire, yes. And how is it you cross paths with Egil, my huntsman in red?
The air around Baba Yaga crackles and sizzles. V clutches the doll in her pocket.
2 huntsmen led me to a hut on chicken legs. I was going to stop, but the huntsman in red blocked my way. I don't know why, but I kept on going until I was here. I don't even know where here is.
No one comes here. No one ever enters this part of the forest. Unless, of course, they have no intention of leaving. Alive, that is.
Why would Egil bring someone to harm you?
Baba Yaga stands still and cocks her head to one side as she watches V. The air around her returns to normal.
Because he thinks he did in the past.
Oh.
So you have come for fire. Nothing else?
I have only my stepmother and 2 stepsisters at home. They are waiting for me to bring them fire. Fire, they tell me, I can only get from you.
And if I do not give you fire, if I keep you here, what then?
I don't know. I only know to ask for fire.
And as for a gill, my hut on chicken legs, my other huntsman, no questions other than fire.
My mother taught me too much knowledge can make a person old too soon.
Sounds either very wise or very ignorant.
She was wise.
Are you always this cautious, child? Or are you slow of mind?
I am not slow.
Ah. Well, then, before I give you fire, you must complete several tasks. You must prepare my meals and wash my clothes.
A large mound of corn raises from the floor in front of the table.
For your first task, you must separate the good corn from the mildewed corn.
But that's impossible.
In a flash, Baba Yaga raises her arms, the air warping and crackling around her. She throws this energy towards V, causing V's body to go rigid. V's mouth seals shut. Her eyes grow wide with fear. She cannot move. Baba Yaga removes a jar from above the stovetop. She pulls out a handful of black powder and blows it towards V. The black powder swirls around V, moving her off the floor and into the cage that has righted itself. 2 disembodied hands appear, lock her in, and pull the chain, lifting the cage off the floor.
As I was saying, if you complete these tasks to my satisfaction, I shall give you fire, and you shall live happily ever after. Fail to complete the tasks, and like the contents of this burlap bag, you shall find yourself tossed into the oven for my supper. Think it over, and rest well if you can.
Baba Yaga summons her cloak and heads out into the night. The torches extinguish. In the glow from the oven, V's terrified face can be seen through the bars of the cage. Inside the village blacksmith shop, night. Olgar, 65 winters, works at his bench near the fire, forging heavy iron chain. He has fading red hair and cloudy white eyes. Father Vasily, 69 winters, walks around the shop taking stock of everything he sees. His hair and beard are an unusual bluish-black color.
Yes, but one can never be too lax, Olgar. May I call you Olgar? Unusual name, Olgar. No, I've heard stories of witches in this area for some time now.
Many of the villagers get carried away with a good story. Perhaps you were told a wildly embellished tale that has little fact.
Father Vasily eyes Olgar very carefully.
Perhaps. In confessional, I'm hearing terrifying accounts, strange and unnatural events. Not just one witch, oh, perhaps 2 or more. Sounds like a coven to me. And that, my friend, must be taken seriously. You would agree, of course.
A coven? My goodness, I think I would have heard of a coven, if there was one in the area.
Perhaps with your blindness, there are things you do not notice.
Olgar bristles at this comment, but continues working.
Now, I don't mean to offend, of course. I'm sure the villagers trust you with their secrets. Who better to trust than the blind blacksmith, Which is why I am here. As a newcomer, I feel it is in the best interest for everyone that the head of their cloister is fully informed of any events that might bring harm.
What kind of harm?
Maiming? Torture? You've heard of that poor child with the crooked spine. Clearly the poor thing has been marked for some evil purpose. Yes, it is good that I am here now. Extraordinary evil must be stamped out. Drowning is not always successful. No. We have found rope and rock and no body. Fire is the only way to truly purge the village of these unholy witches.
Forgive my ignorance, but what exactly is your definition of a witch?
What an odd question. Everyone knows what a witch is.
Humor an old blind man, blacksmith, please.
Father Vasily quietly opens boxes and drawers, careful not to let Olgar hear.
Of course, my friend. We are all in this together. A witch, these witches in particular, are quite gifted in the dark arts. They claim to heal the sick and yet quite often do the complete opposite. They steal children to feed themselves.
Nonsense.
Are you deaf as well? These women spread more disease than cure. Murder those they do not like. Birth babies with no life in them. Poison crops. Oh, and the young men, so many, scarred for life, unable to father children. No, my friend, this is worse than all the night terrors put together. I shall devote myself day and night to extinguish these witches. Only then will the villagers be safe.
There are a few women who pass through the village from time to time, assisting in the birth of babies and healing the sick, all at little to no cost. Kind and wise women, I'm told. I know of no others.
Which women are these?
I'm sorry to say I have never met them, nor have I heard their names.
Pity. And a bit surprising, really. I would have thought you might have sought them out to heal your blindness.
Olgar stokes the fire. The flames hiss loudly.
Blindness is not always curable.
My. What a strange answer. Well, I believe I have taken up enough of your time. I will be calling on you for more chain and iron cuffs for the pillory. I want the villagers to feel safe.
Well, now that you know the way.
Father Vasily laughs again, watching Olgar closely.
Yes, of course. And if you should ever hear the name Baba... Oh, my goodness, what is that name? Yaga. Yes, that's it. Baba Yaga. You will, of course, tell me right away.
Father Vasily slowly waves his walking stick toward Olgar. The fire flares for a moment. Olgar's back stiffens.
Good night, Father Vasily.
Yes, and to you as well.
Father Vasily exits. Olgar stops working. With clouded eyes, he looks out into the night. Olgar grabs the chain off the anvil and throws it into the fire. He rubs his eyes and claps his hands once. The fire and the chain instantly disappear. He removes his apron, grabs his cloak, and departs into the night. Inside the cave, dawn. V wakes with a start. She is on the floor by the cage. At her feet, the doll lies on top of the opened lock. She looks around the empty cave. As she grabs the doll, she catches sight of the image of Egil on the cave walls, riding across the sky. The early morning rays of light enter the cave. V ties her hair back and puts on her apron. She places the doll by the corn and starts to clean. Forest day. Villia walks across the stream to the front gate of the hut on chicken legs. Her head is held high, but she clasps her hands together to keep them from shaking.
I am Villia from the village. I come of my own free will.
Baba Yaga, preparing herbal salves, grunts and throws a quick hand movement toward the front gate. The chicken legs crouch down to the ground, and the fingers pull back, opening the locks.
With your own free will, you may enter. But once you cross the threshold, your contract will be with me.
Tumbleweeds swirl around Villia on the path leading up to the hut. She pulls her cloak tightly around her. She stops before entering.
I was told that no harm will come to me if I enter of my own free will.
Villia is yanked from where she stands and dragged into the hut by the pair of hands. The door slams behind her.
Who gave you such information?
The air around Baba Yaga warps with energy.
The women in the village.
Have they been to see me?
Of course.
Well, why don't you tell me what you want, and quickly, before I feed you to the wolves?
Vilya clears her throat and checks for ways to exit.
I've come for fire. We have no fire, and my beloved children will die if I do not bring home fire.
Odd. Must be a real problem in your village.
What? What does that mean?
Why should I give you fire?
Vilya stands up, straight and proud.
Because I ask.
Baba Yaga takes a moment to stare at Vilya.
No, I don't think so.
But you have to.
The air inside the hut shimmers and warps. Vilya clasps her hands together again.
I what? I have to? No, I don't. I could send you home on fire. That might do the trick. I don't have to do anything.
Baba Yaga moves in close to Vilya.
You're rather rodent-like, aren't you?
Well, I never. I have asked for fire. There is no reason why I should not be given fire. Oh, my good-for-nothing husband has abandoned us, and no matter what I do, I cannot keep a fire going. I sent his pathetic daughter to get fire from you, and she has not returned.
Ah, yes. I know you. So you sent a defenseless child, alone, into the forest, instead of going yourself?
Well, I'm here, aren't I? I'm here now, standing before you.
Yes, I can see that. Tell me, when you sent that poor, defenseless child into the forest, did you not think to go with her? Or to find someone brave and wise to take her place?
No, of course not. She has played in this forest her whole life. Actually, truth be told, she begged to go. She pleaded with me, "Please, dear mother, please let me go into the forest and find the great Baba Yaga and bring home fire for my loving family. It would be an honor."
Really? She said all that?
Yes, she was dying to go.
Scratching can be heard at the door jambs and window casings.
Well then, why don't you ask after her? Did I see her? Did she get fire? Is she safe?
Well, the little brat didn't come home, so of course she didn't get
Enough! Your kind is just outside the door.
The air around Baba Yaga
hurry along
warps
now.
with energy.
You shall have no need of fire.
But...
Baba Yaga raises her arms and throws energy down upon Vilya that instantly reduces Vilya to a rat. The front door flies open where other rats stand at the threshold. The birch broom flies off the wall and sweeps the rat Vilya out the front door.
There now. That will do. That will do.
Inside the cave, day. Bee stirs soup on the stove. The cave is clean and neat. Baba Yaga walks slowly around the cave, searching for the tiniest thing undone. She pauses in front of two separated piles of corn, one mildewed and the other good.
Thank you for releasing me.
I didn't release you, child.
But then how did I get out of the cage?
I thought you must have picked the lock. Although, I cannot think of a time when someone has escaped from that particular cage. Curious indeed.
Yes.
Looks as though you successfully completed your first task.
Yes.
Tell me, child, how did you separate the corn?
The doll begins to jump up and down in V's pocket.
I took one kernel that looked perfect of shape and color. The taste was very sweet, unusually sweet. I found a second kernel that was not of perfect shape or color, but the taste seemed more balanced to me. I separated them according to this rule.
And how would you have known that all the less than perfect kernels had the same balanced taste?
I didn't.
Perhaps you got lucky. Who did you say your mother was?
I didn't. Her name was...
Demetrius, 10 winters, runs into the cave. His gait is lopsided from his crooked spine. He is bruised and bloodied.
Baya.
Demetrius passes out in Baba Yaga's arms.
Domitius!
She feels his rib cage, listens to his heart.
V, come here. Help me rub his hands and feet.
Baba Yaga talks to V as she prepares a tincture.
The mother of Demetrius was a kind, simple-minded woman. She made herb bundles of willow and lavender to help ease the pain of childbirth. While she was with child, this child, a baby she delivered, was born dead. She was blamed for the death and banished to the outskirts of the village. Her husband beat her and left her for dead. I found her, brought her here, and nursed her back to health. She delivered Demetrius soon after. He was so small. His spine was crooked at birth. When she was well enough, she took Demetrius and went back to her husband. She was labeled a witch. A heavy rock was strapped to her body, and she was pushed into the lake. The head of the cloister at that time made Demetrius watch.
That's horrible.
Baba Yaga pours the tincture into Demetrius's mouth. Slowly, Demetrius opens his eyes. He whimpers in pain.
These are the times we live in, child. It is not our sex that will be our undoing. It is our ignorance.
Baya?
There you are. Can you sit up? What happened, Demetrius?
Demetrius and Baba use crude sign language.
What is he saying?
Something about the village. His father beats him often, but this is about a different man in the village.
Harm. Dumb. Hurt.
That's where I've seen him. In the village square, I saw a man, a priest, I think, holding Demetrius up to the crowd. I couldn't hear what he was saying.
This man, V, what did he look like?
I didn't see his face, but I remember his hair. It was the oddest color. It wasn't black, it was...
Bluish black.
Yes, bluish black.
The air in the cave starts to shimmer. The pipes creak and hiss. Baba Yaga grabs her cloak.
You're leaving? Is there another task I could begin? I'm less frightened when I can focus on a task.
Baba Yaga eyes V for a moment. The air around her relaxes. In the pipes, silence.
All right. Outside the cave, there's a large pile of harvested poppy seeds mixed with fine black dirt. Separate the poppy seeds from the dirt and bring both piles inside. You have until the next quarter moon, child. Be careful they don't blow away.
She turns to Demetrius, claps her hands, and opens them, revealing a mouse. Demetrius beams with joy. With his head down, he puts his hands out.
No harm may come to him.
No, Dom, no harm.
Baba Yaga takes a bottle from one of the shelves and a tiny vial. She hands them to V.
I must speak with someone from the village. Someone I have not spoken with in many years. Demetrius will stay here. If he wants to leave, pour this liquid into the vial. When his father drinks, this puts him to sleep. Demetrius knows what to do. Do not let him leave without it. You may not alter anything in this cave, but you may study these books. I assume you can read?
V nods. The torches dim for a moment. Baba Yaga disappears into the night. End Podcast 1. To be continued.